It is gut check time. It is gut check time. You either believe in reducing spending or you don't. We're giving $3,600,000 to Haiti for pastry cooking classes, for cyber cafes, for dance focus groups, for male prostitutes. The president's saying, I don't think so. I don't think that the American people support giving their hard-earned money to male prostitutes in Haiti. So he's asking us to cut it out. He's asking us to reduce the budget by $833,000 because some of President Biden's bureaucrats gave a contract to transgender people, sex workers, and their clients in Nepal. That's why I call it spending porn. Triggers your gag reflex. You look at this stuff and you go, what in God's name? Who decided to do this?
Senator John Kennedy just delivered one of the most hard-hitting critiques of wasteful government spending in recent Senate history, and what he revealed will make your blood boil. While American families struggle with inflation and rising costs, Biden-era bureaucrats have been sending your tax dollars to fund male prostitutes in Haiti, sex workers in Nepal, Sesame Street in Iraq, and dance-focused groups abroad. Kennedy didn't hold back. He called it spending porn because it triggers your gag reflex. President Trump sent Congress a rescission bill asking to cut just 0.1% of the $7 trillion budget, a mere $9.1 billion in obvious waste. But even this tiny request has exposed the hypocrisy of politicians who talk about fiscal responsibility but refuse to act. Kennedy laid out the most absurd examples: $3.6 million to Haiti for pastry classes and male prostitutes, $33,000 for transgender sex workers in Nepal, $3 million for Sesame Street in Iraq, and millions more on projects no American would ever support. This is gut check time. See for yourselves.
I want to say, Mr. President, next week, President Trump's going to send us over what's called a rescission bill. What does that mean? Well, we've got a $7 trillion budget, okay? I don't know how much of that $7 trillion is waste, but every fair-minded person would have to agree that there's some money being spent in that $7 trillion that shouldn't be spent. It just shouldn't. It's wasted money. And so President Trump and this Congress made one of its objectives trying to reduce spending. Not spending that we need to reduce, but spending that needs to be reduced. I call it spending porn. And the president has sent us a bill. He's saying to Congress, I want you to reduce spending in the current budget by $9.1 billion. And let me tell you what the spending, what constitutes the spending I want to reduce. Well, first, $9.1 billion out of a $7 trillion budget. We're not talking about a lot of money here. We're talking about 0.1%. That's all. That's point one. Point two, you need to look at what the president's asking us to cut out. I'll just give you a couple of examples. I didn't make this up. The president is saying we're giving $3 million to Iraq to produce Sesame Street. Maybe we could use that money for something else. The president is saying we're giving $3 million to Zambia for circumcisions and vasectomies. The president's saying we don't need to do that. We've got other priorities. We're giving $500,000 to Rwanda to buy electric buses. The president is saying to us, Congress, we don't need to be spending the money on that. There are more important things. We're spending $67,000 to give insect powder to kids in Madagascar. I don't even know what insect powder is, but the president's asking us to cut it out. We're giving $3,600,000 to Haiti for pastry cooking classes, for cyber cafes, for dance focus groups, for male prostitutes. The president's saying, I don't think so. I don't think that the American people support giving their hard-earned money to male prostitutes in Haiti. So he's asking us to cut it out. He's asking us to reduce the budget by $833,000 because some of President Biden's bureaucrats gave a contract to transgender people, sex workers, and their clients in Nepal. The president's saying, I don't want to do that. And he's right. That's enough. You get the idea. That's why I call it spending porn. Triggers your gag reflex. You look at this stuff and you go, what in God's name? Who decided to do this? Well, Congress didn't. The bureaucrats did. It's money we appropriated, but we didn't tell them to go spend money, $833,000, and give to sex workers in Nepal. They just took the money we appropriated and used it for that. And so the president is asking us to do what's called a rescission, to cancel the spending. Now, I have listened, I've been here 8 years, Mr. President, and I've listened to a whole bunch of people talk about the need to reduce spending. But you got to watch what people do, not what they say. Because talk is cheap. And around here, I've learned pretty quickly that reducing spending, it's like going to heaven. I want to go to heaven. I bet you want to go to heaven, Mr. President. I bet our guests in the gallery want to go to heaven. But everybody wants to go to heaven. Raise your hand if you're ready to take the trip today. Most people, you are, sir, and I admire that, but most people want to live a little longer. And that's the way it is with reducing spending around here. I want to reduce spending. I support it, but not just yet, because I've got this project.
As Senator Kennedy yielded the floor, the impact of his words hung heavy in the Senate chamber like a thunderclap that refused to fade. In those few powerful minutes, he had accomplished something that seemed almost impossible in today's Washington. He had spoken truth to power without flinching, without apologizing, and without backing down. He had cut through the partisan noise, the bureaucratic doublespeak, and the political theater to deliver a message rooted in pure common sense, a message that resonated with millions of Americans who have been waiting for someone, anyone, to finally say what needed to be said. Senator John Kennedy didn't just give a speech. He threw down a gauntlet. He drew a line in the sand and dared his colleagues to show their true colors. And in doing so, he became the voice of every hardworking American who has ever looked at their paycheck, seen the taxes taken out, and wondered where that money actually goes. Now they know, and they should be outraged. No reasonable person, regardless of political affiliation, could defend spending millions on male prostitutes in Haiti, dance focus groups overseas, or insect powder in Madagascar while American citizens struggle to afford basic necessities. No honest politician could claim to support fiscal responsibility while voting to protect such blatant and indefensible waste. Kennedy has stripped away the excuses and exposed the naked truth. Washington has been running a con game on the American people, and he just revealed how the trick works. What made Kennedy stand so remarkable wasn't just what he said, it was that he had the courage to say it at all. In an era where politicians are trained to speak in carefully focused group talking points, where every word is calculated to avoid offense and maintain plausible deniability, Kennedy spoke with refreshing, almost shocking directness. He called it like he saw it. Spending porn, hypocrisy you could cut with a knife, preaching temperance from a bar stool. These weren't poll-tested phrases. These were the words of a man who had simply had enough of the lies. The rescission bill Kennedy championed wasn't about making radical changes to government or gutting essential services. It was about taking the smallest, most reasonable step imaginable, cutting 0.1% of obvious, documented, indefensible waste. If Congress couldn't pass this bill, if senators couldn't muster the basic courage to eliminate funding for sex workers in Nepal and pastry classes in Haiti while Americans faced economic hardship, then every speech about fiscal responsibility was exposed as exactly what Kennedy said it was, period, empty performance theater designed to fool voters while protecting a corrupt system.